20 years after the end of the world, the girls make their way to an abandoned shopping mall.
Self-propelled ladder. Escalator.
Raja slot machine hall.
Holy shit. Ready, and then.
Get ready to run. Hello everyone, Movie Jack is in touch, and this is a short retelling of the 7th episode of the post-apocalyptic series One of Us, filmed based on the legendary game ZE Last of Us. Anyone who is late or got to the channel from the rivers, I advise you to look at the beginning of the story using the links in the description. And you, old-timers, shortcomers, let's support this series to the maximum with likes and comments so that the videos flies into recommendations. To do this, slap a like, and most importantly, be sure to write any comment, as this will greatly help the promotion of the video. And as soon as the retelling gets 1,000 likes and 100 comments, I release a sequel. Enjoy watching. In the basement of a ruined house in rural Colorado, Ellie is desperately trying to stop Joel's bleeding. Joel, delirious, tells her to leave him and return to Jackson. Ellie throws a jacket over him to keep him warm, and then goes to the top of the stairs to think about her actions. A few months before, Ellie listens to Pearl Jam's Toll Ornan on her Walkman while running in circles at the Phaedra School in the quarantine zone of Boston. Another student, Bethany, steals her headphones and taunts her about Ellie's friend leaving. As a result of the fight, Bethany ends up in the infirmary with 15 stitches, and Ellie is in Captain Kwong's office with a black eye. Instead of throwing her into the hole alone, Kwong firmly tells Ellie that she is smart and strong enough to be a leader, but her relationship is becoming a problem. He offers her two options. If she continues to behave as usual, she will most likely become a nameless soldier under Bethany's guidance and will probably die a senseless death. Or she will swallow her pride and become an officer and enjoy the benefits of this position, and also become Bethany's boss. He tells Ellie that Phaedra, the only thing that prevents people in the quarantine zone from plunging into horror, and Ellie can become part of maintaining peace. Ellie decides to try to follow the rules. The next night in his dorm, or reading a comic book by Satch Starlight, looking at the empty bed at the other end of the room before falling asleep. At night, a man climbs into Ellie's room through the window and tries to sneak up on Ellie, who immediately wakes up and throws the uninvited guest on the floor, after which she grabs her knife. She is surprised to discover that the attacker is her former roommate and best friend Riley, who ran away from Phaedra's school 3 weeks ago. To Ellie's disappointment, Riley reveals that she has joined the Fireflies and asks Ellie to go with her for the night. Ellie reluctantly agrees and follows Riley out of the dorm. They make their way through the streets, avoiding patrols, and enter an abandoned building. Going upstairs, they stumble upon the corpse of a civilian who seems to have recently committed suicide, having consumed alcohol and some medicine at the same time. They steal alcohol from him, which they believe was made before the day of the outbreak, and drink a little while they get to the roof of the building. Ellie asks Riley to hold the gun, and she briefly allows it, noting that it was given to her as a Firefly. Riley explains that she joined the Fireflies while Ellie was in the burrow. A woman noticed her sneaking in one night and invited her to join the group after Riley expressed her opinion that Phaedra were fascist jerks. Ellie suggests that the Fireflies' view of Phaedra is too simplistic and that Phaedra actually holds everything together. Riley refuses to argue and instigates or jumps on roofs. When they stop to rest, they look at the new block of apartments, which, as Riley explains, was created by Phaedra for the new residents of the KZ. They again argue about the motives of Phaedra and the Fireflies, or cite as an example that the Fireflies blew up the warehouse and threatened the supply of the residents of the KZ. Riley points to the destination, the abandoned Liberty Gardens shopping center, which was allegedly closed due to the fact that it was full of infected. Riley points out that the mall isn't really closed anymore. They go inside, where Riley explains that the mall is connected to the same power grid that Phaedra installed for the new apartments. She turns on the electricity in the mall, and Ellie admires the colorful storefronts. Riley says she's at the mall, not just the two of us, and that she plans to show Ellie the 4 wonders of the mall. They find escalators, on which Alice immediately plays, which prompts Riley to jokingly declare that there are now 5 miracles. As they walk through the mall, Ellie looks at various storefronts, noting which ones have been looted depending on the need for their goods, and which ones have been abandoned. They look at the Victoria's Secret window and joke about how uncomfortable these products should be. Then Riley shows Ellie the second miracle, a working carousel. They climb on plastic horses and enjoy riding, drinking from a bottle of liquor, stealing glances at each other. The carousel breaks down, when Riley goes to fix her or asks if she really left to free the Boston goat. Riley claims that the fireflies and the other goats have set everyone free and are running things when the flashes. Ellie points out that Riley could still have done it if Phaedra had stayed, but Riley claims that she doesn't have the same Phaedra future as Ellie. She says that Kwon gave her a sewer detail as a task, which prompted her to avoid and eventually join the fireflies. Then Riley leads her to the third miracle of the old photo booth. They take some stupid pictures together, but are disappointed to learn that the ink from 20 years ago is of poor quality and the photos turn out to be faded, although Ellie still decides to keep the sheet. Riley leads Ellie into Raja's Fourth Wonder arcade, filled with working video game consoles, including Mortal Kombat 2, of which they are both fans. They play several rounds of the game using an endless supply of coins from the slot machine that Riley hacked. Unaware of this, they attract the attention of a long-dormant infected person in another part of the mall. After Ellie finally makes a fatality, Riley tries to take Ellie to the next miracle, but Ellie suggests that she return to the dorm so as not to get into trouble, offering to pick her up the next day. Riley protests, offering to give Ellie a gift. She takes Ellie to the food court, where she discovers her living quarters in the kitchen of Taka restaurant and a copy of the book No Pan Intended, Ox, and the one she gives her. They share terrible puns with each other, and only then does Ellie notice a shelf full of bombs. Ellie, knowing that firefly bombs are being used to kill Phaedra's soldiers, realizes that Riley was actually directed to the mall by fireflies, and did not find it herself. Riley protests that she won't let the fireflies hurt Ellie. Ellie incredulously asks if Riley really thinks the fireflies will listen to her and breaks out. Riley chases her through the food court and informs her that he is leaving Boston. The fireflies sent her to the Atlanta Goats. She tried to ask to recruit Ellie so they could go together, but Marlene, the woman who recruited her, refused her. The night at the mall was supposed to be the last opportunity to spend time together before she left. Ellie rushes away, but barely manages to reach the maintenance corridors before she changes her mind and returns to the mall. She hears distant screams and runs into a costume store, but discovers that the source of the screams was a Halloween display that Riley activated, which was supposed to be the fifth miracle. Ellie takes the joke book from Riley and complains that Riley came back to give her a fun evening, but left her again for a cause that she doesn't fully understand. Riley replies that Ellie doesn't know what it's like to have the family that Riley had, albeit briefly, and that she would like to have again for a long time. She suggests Ellie to do the last thing and gives Ellie one of the latex masks sold in the store. Then she connects Ellie's player to the store's speaker system, and they dance on the counter in masks to the song This Is James A Got You Babe. Ellie soon slows down her dance and takes off her mask while looking at Riley, prompting Riley to take off her own mask. Ellie begs Riley not to leave and kisses her. Their moment is interrupted when the infected break into the store. The couple runs away, trying to fight off the infected with Riley's gun and Ali's knife. After a fierce fight, manages to pierce his head. At first, she is elated that she killed one of them, but then she notices that Riley is looking at her hand. Looking down, she is horrified to discover that she has been bitten. Riley tearfully raises her hand to show that she too has been bitten. In the present, Ellie is frantically rushing around the house, rummaging through drawers, trying to find something that will help Joel. In the past, Ellie vents her anger in a shop window, which Riley watches. After she gives up, Riley offers two options for further action. The first option is that they use her gun and commit suicide, which, according to Riley, she does not like. The second option, wait out the infection and spend the rest of the time together. Ellie asks Riley which option is the third. Riley can only apologize while they hug. Ellie finally finds a needle and thread, which she realizes can be used to sew up Joel's wound. She goes down to the basement and silently assures Joel that she will not leave him, after which she begins to sew up his wound.